Welcome to English Weekly with Megan. Today we are going to talk about how to use used to and would to talk about past routines, things that we did in the past that we do not do any longer. Okay, so get ready. First, we're going to look a bit about used to with the infinitive as well as in the negative and in the questions. There's going to be some quiz questions for you to answer. Remember, I always ask you why. Okay, I want you to pretend that we are really having a one-on-one live class together. After we talk about those things, we're going to talk about would. Yes, there can be many uses, like in the hypothetical conditional tenses, but this one is a little bit different, okay? And we'll compare those ones, do a little quizzing, and then we'll briefly look at also a present simple version of the way to talk about routines in the way that you currently do. Okay? So, that being said, let's get started. Super happy. Can you tell me, right? I taught this to a student before and I said, are there any things that you did regularly as a child that you don't do now? This is a very random question, but when I had the student try to answer this, it was very difficult for them to try to form the right grammatical structure and vocabulary to try and express these things that happened very regularly in the past but don't happen anymore. And actually, it's not that hard, okay? So let's learn how to answer that question today, all right? First, let's talk about used to and the infinitive. So use number one is when there are repeated actions in the past. Huh? Well, we can use used to plus the infinitive. Infinitive, remember, it's the original base verb. There's no ed, no ing, no s, none of that stuff, just the original verb: run, eat, go, jump, wash, swim, all of that stuff. Okay, to talk about past habits or things that we did repeatedly over and over and over many times in the past. All right. Then, for example, when I was a child, I used to go skiing every summer. Okay, listen to my pronunciation in that expression. Used to, used to. So the D, it's gone, okay? And we really lean into the to part, kind of, depending, used to, used to. But usually, you will hear native speakers speaking quickly and say used to, used to. T is very often changed and reduced, we say, into a t, t, which is what they tell you. What sound does T make? T, t, t. Used to. When I was a child, I used to go skiing every winter. Used to go, used to go. Okay, very, very common. So let's keep it at that. Next example, okay, is I used to smoke a lot before I had my first child. True story with my uncle. He was smoking a lot, then I was born, and he stopped because his son was going to be born 2 months after me. So shout out to you, Uncle Paul and Alex. Okay. And next, we have someone here in the chat said, when I was a child, I used to eat beans every day. Wow. Sounds like your classic Latino life. Okay. Let's now talk about another use. situations or states that are no longer true. Okay, so not necessarily actions like running, walking, talking, but things in life, situations, happenings, or states of being, right? Being happy, that is a state. Okay, so those things that were there in the past, but now they're not. Example, well, first let me read this. We can use used to plus infinitive to talk about situations or states. States are used with stative verbs, okay? Stative verbs are verbs like believe, think, be, feel, all of those ones that are you can't really touch. It's more a state of mind, of being, right? They're not action ones. Live is another one, okay? So this is an example. As a child, I used to be blonde. Blonde is what some people would say yellow hair, okay? Blonde. I used to be blonde. Okay, that means I used to have blonde hair. All right, and the next example is I used to live with my mom and when I was a child. Okay, my mom, in my case, both my parents were part of my life, so we all lived in the same house. I used to live with my mom, my dad, and my 3 younger brothers, but now different situation, right? I live with my husband. Okay. Next, we have a quiz. Well, sorry, before we go on, let's talk about the negative form, okay? So to put this negatively when the opposite is true, right? You didn't do something in the past and now you do it. We use didn't used to, okay? Not use with a D, but used to. I didn't used to play football as a teenager. Be careful. If you're in America and in Canada and you hear the word football, we are not talking about where you run around and kick a ball with your foot. It should be that way, but that's not what we're talking about. Here in North America, in Canada and America, when we say football, we mean American football with a handball, okay? The pigskin, as we call it. Okay, I didn't used to play football as a teenager. Now I do. How about this next example? She didn't used to like spicy food, but now she does. Story of my life. I didn't used to like spicy food until I was 23 years old. Now I love spicy food. And it's great because I live in Mexico. All right. Next, in our form of questions, when we want to ask someone if they did something repeatedly in the past, right? We'll use it as did or didn't. Subject, used to, plus infinitive, the original verb. Okay, so we have, did you used to study in the library when you were in uni? Notice this says uni. Okay, what is that? Uni is our nickname, our short form name for university, right? Oh yeah, I'm in uni, you can say, which means you are studying at university currently, okay? Did you used to study? In my case, not so much in the library. I mostly studied in my dorm room. All right. Let's continue. Another one. Didn't he used to have a crush on that girl from middle school? So middle school is around grades 3 to 6, just before high school, at least in North American education. In Ontario, the province where I'm from, we technically don't have a middle school. It starts with kindergarten. In grade 1 to grade 8, it's all elementary school. After that, it's high school, grades 9 to 12. In the US, they typically have middle schools, which are grades 3 to 6, like I said, maybe a bit more. All right, that's middle school. Elementary, middle, high school. Those are the typical levels of school that we have on this side of the globe. Okay, and quiz time. Quiz, 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 okay? You can type a 1 or 2 in the chat, and I want to know, is the answer used to or used to? They sound the same, okay? So read the sentence. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to type a 1 or a 2 in the chat. All right. 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. The answer is used to. I used to eat, or I used to eat. I used to eat a lot of candy. A lot of. I used to eat a lot of candy when I was a kid, when I was a. But now I try to eat healthy. Okay? You should always be speaking in our class as well, practicing your pronunciation and listening. Okay? A lot of candy when I was a kid. We join those words together. Okay? Good. Why is this used to with a D after the use? Why is it number 1? Good job in the chat. The reason why is because we are talking about a repeated action in the past in positive sentences. That means sentences that do not have the word not, right, in them. Like I do not. That's a negative sentence. Okay. Next, good job in the chat. Let's do another little quiz here. Okay. So is it 1 or 2, used to or used to? 3, 2, 1. Give your answer in the chat. The answer is used to. Congratulations in the chat who you got it. Why? You should be able to look at this and say, easy. It's a negative sentence. So we use used to without a D there. She didn't used to like coffee, but now she can't live without it. So this is a state. A like is a state of being, right? So it's a state in the past. It's not true anymore, right? Maybe she still doesn't like coffee, but she needs to drink it anyways. Okay. Next one. Okay. What do we have here? Is it 1 or 2? By the end of this class, knowing these things will be super easy for you. Okay? Did you blah, blah, blah? 3, 2, 1. The answer is used to. Again, number 2, you should have your reason why. Okay? What I'm going to tell you here, situations in the past, again, that are no longer true. So this sentence, go to the same school. It's not about like walking to school or that actual action of school, of getting from your house to the school. It's more about your general attendance of you attended this school or that school, right? So the question is more like, did you attend the same school as your cousin in the past? Did you? Okay. Next one here, when with would, it is the same but different. Let's just put it like that. Okay. So for repeated events in the past, be careful with my pronunciation. Okay. Even advanced speakers make this mistake all the time. So just repeat after me for right now. Would. Would. Can you say that? Would. Okay, be careful. It's not would, and that L is quiet. It's would. Would. Make sure you have that right. All right, so basically, would plus infinitive is used in the exact same way as used to plus infinitive, but we usually use it when telling stories. And it's a little more formal. Okay, however, there are some exceptions that you need to know about. Okay, you cannot use would with stative verbs. Okay, so stative verbs, as I said, they describe a state. not an action or a process. They show what someone is, has, feels, thinks, or believes rather than what they actually do. So, as I mentioned before, the common stative verbs be, have, know, like, love, hate, dislike, believe, understand, need, want, seem. These are all stative verbs, and we do not use would with them to mean this, okay, when we're talking about past continuous options, okay? Past continuous, I should say, actions or states, okay? Also in questions and also in negatives. So would is just like used to, except not in questions, not in negatives, and not in stative verbs. Those three things, okay? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. For example, when I was a child, I would go skiing. Notice the pronunciation of that there, skiing. So it should be ski, and then you add a little Y sound, if that helps you. Ski. I'm going to write it in the chat, actually. Ski, and then ying, skiing. Whoops, skiing, okay? Ying. Be careful with that. It's not skiing, it's skiing. When I was a child, I would go skiing every winter. Okay, after that, we have our next example. My brothers and I would wrestle together when we were kids. Be careful of that word there, wrestle, okay? The spelling is strange, the pronunciation is strange. Wrestle. My brothers and I would wrestle together. You might think World Wrestling Federation. It's right. I grew up with three younger brothers. Brothers is boys only, right? So I was wrestling my brothers and playing American football all the time when I was a kid. I used to do that a lot with them, okay? Wrestle. Be careful of that pronunciation. All right. Quiz time. This time you have your answer between 1, 2, or 3. Used to, or would. Okay, so take a look at this sentence and I'll give you 5 seconds. Put a number in the chat, right? But make sure you know your reason why. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is would. Okay, now you can say used to as well. I see that some of you put used to. Number 1, that is okay. So number 1 and number 3 are both good. The reason one might say that this is would is because it is like storytelling, right? Back in the past, when I was a kid, right, it is a repeated action in the past, but it's more storytelling. So if you said the answer was 1, yes, don't worry, don't stress out. You got it right too. Okay, next question. Okay, sometimes the answer is not always exact. Okay, let's see. Is the answer 1, 2, or 3? Used to, or would? Be careful with the pronunciation there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is 1. Okay, now here's a question. Could the answer be 3? All right, type yes or no in the chat, because used to and would are very similar and can often be used together. But if you think it can be used with would, type yes. If you think not, type a no. Okay, I'm seeing some no's here, and that's actually right. Let me read the sentence. Listen to the pronunciation. I used to live in the countryside, but now I live in the city. The no's are correct. We cannot have would here. Why though? You know why? Let me know in the chat. If you don't, then think harder. Okay. So the reason is that it is past situation that is no longer true. The reason is not because of now. It is because live is a stative verb. Okay. Live is a stative verb, a state of being. So yes, someone did put that the reason there can't be any would is because we have now, right? But actually, that idea of now is in all of these sentences when we talk about past repeated action, right? But the reason here that we can't actually use would is because live is a state of verb. Okay, that's really important. It's not an action. Next one. Okay, is it 1, 2, or 3? 1, 2, or 3. Used to, would. Okay. Give you 3, 2, 1. Correct in the chat. Love it. Why is that your answer, though? Okay. She didn't used to like vegetables when she was younger. She didn't used to like vegetables. Reason is that it was this is a past state that is no longer true, but we're using the negative here, okay? We have our past tense form shown in the didn't. She didn't used to like vegetables. Be careful with the pronunciation there, vegetables, okay? Next one, mew, mew, mew. Okay, what do we have here? I'm going to give you a quick type 1, 2, or 3 in the chat. Used to, or would. All right. 3, 2, 1. The answer again is used to. Okay. Did you used to go to, oh, I love this for pronunciation. Okay. Did you used to go to that? Did you used to go to that? To go to that? To go to that? Okay. We have those twos in there and it's just ta ta ta. Did you used to go to that cafe on the weekends? On weekends? Did you used to go to did you used to go to that cafe on the weekends? Yes. Okay. Natural pronunciation. You can say it as you have learned it. Did you used to go to that cafe on weekends? But you would hear natural native speakers saying, did you used to go to that cafe on weekends? Did you used to go to that cafe on weekends? Alrighty. And this is because it is a question. Okay, repeated action in the past. So congratulations to the persons or people who have been in the chat. Okay, so now let's talk about briefly, what about when it's something that you are still doing today? Well, of course, we cannot use used to plus infinitive because that's only for the past tense. Okay. If we're still doing something for present habits or things that we do repeatedly in the present, like have English class with teacher Meghan Mendoza, okay, you should use usually, normally, often, sometimes. Those are adverbs of frequency, okay? For present simple, you know this, you've learned this. Let's review it, okay? When you're doing something that's repeatedly, daily, weekly, yearly, you're doing it more than once, it's an adverb of frequency. We use the present simple. We usually go to the cinema on Friday evenings, okay? We cannot say we used to go to the cinema or used to go. It's just it's totally Totally false, okay? Even if there's no D on it. Lana, my dog, often barks when she hears someone passing by our house, okay? We can't say she uses to hear or she uses to barks or something like that. That does not make any sense, okay? It's she often barks. Often or often, however you want to pronounce it is good. Test time again, okay? On Fridays, I order sushi after work. Is it used to, usually, or would? Which one is it? Which one, which one, which one? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes, that's right in the chat. The answer is usually. Watch the pronunciation. Everyone, almost everyone, just not you, says this incorrectly. On Fridays, I usually order sushi after work. Usually. Usually. Okay? And yes, why? Because this is a present habit. It's something that's still being done regularly. I love sushi. Okay. And next, right? 1, 2, or 3. Is it used to, usually, or would? When I was in high school, it gave you the answer. That's cheating. My best friend and I would study together in the class. Okay, so I gave you the blanks for this one. So that means you have to tell me the why. Okay, I gave you the correct answer. Why is it you would? And just so you know, if you did put 3, and I see in the chat we have some 3s, okay, that used to is also good here. My best friend and I used to study together after class. My best friend and I would study together after class. We used it because it is a repeated past activity. Okay, it's study. It's not a stative verb. It's an action. You're doing something right now. You are studying English with Megan. Good for you. Okay. Next one. Last question of the day. Okay. So we have, I believe that learning grammar was boring, but not anymore. Number 1, 2, or 3. What is your answer? The answer. 3, 2, 1. Used to. Okay. We have our thing that happened in the past. It's used to. We cannot use could for this one. Why? Someone tell me. I'm looking at you. Tell me, why can we not use would? It's for the same reason that you couldn't use would before. The reason is that it would just be too easy. No, because believe is a stative verb. So this is something that was in the past. Ugh, grammar is so boring. And now we said not anymore. That means now? No, not anymore. All right. I used to study every day. Not anymore. School's out or something like that. Okay. So I still believe that learning grammar was boring, and now more than ever. Okay, so let's fix that grammar, because you should have said, I still believe that learning grammar is boring, and now more than ever. That was from Carlos in the chat. Not appreciative of your extremely uncommon opinion on grammar. Okay, but now that we've come to the end of this class, I hope you guys understand now much better the difference between used to and would and the negatives. And don't forget the stative verbs, and we might look at that in future classes. Okay, so don't forget, if you want to succeed in your English, right, just look at the description and you're going to see a free guide to English success right there where you can figure out everything that you need to get you ready and organized and all of that fun stuff. Okay? And good for your English. So if you made it here, I'm so proud of you. You're doing exactly as you should. All right. What was your score on the test? Let me know. Did you get any wrong? Or were you completely perfect? Remember, if you can't teach this to someone else, then you probably don't fully know it. Anyways, I will say goodbye now. All right. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful week. Bye bye.